Hi there, I'm back to talk to you about a speech and debate club, which you will start in your community with your local school kids, not necessarily homeschoolers. You can have anybody come. I opened up our club to basically anybody who wanted to participate. And so we've got kids from, I say it's from 12, it's 12 and up. But I've got kids that are younger than that because the mom brings all of her kids. And we had a 5-year-old write a speech, and she taped it, and I got the video of him reading his speech. He wrote it out and he read it for the camera. And oh my gosh, I'm so proud of that. That's of him. Like, that's amazing. She said she didn't even encourage him. She was just thrilled to be able to see that. And he had his thesis and his 3 points and his. So every time you start your club, and our club, I'll be honest, our club goes for about an hour and a half, our meetings. When we did speech and debate back in California, our meetings were 2 to 3 hours. They were very long. As far as I felt, they were quite long. But these meetings happen right after we finish our school day, which ends at 3. And the kids really don't have much stamina, and they want to get home for dinner and stuff. So I go to 4:30. Sometimes we'll go as late as 5 o'clock. But we kind of lose the space after that too. We're meeting in churches, and so we lose the space. But listen, whatever it takes to get it done. If you want to meet at 8 o'clock at night, because that's the best convenient time, or if you want to meet in the mornings, just great. Maybe you could have, a 2.5 hour meeting in the morning instead. That works too. It's basically whatever works. And when I started this, I said to everybody, this is not my club. This is your club. What do you want? What do you want to see? So yes, I'm in the leadership role, but I'm taking advice from other parents. I had a parent offer me the suggestion that I think she got it from Toastmasters. She said that if you use and ah when you speak, I just did it. At Toastmasters, they would ring a bell or something like that. And so we decided that for some of the impromptu speakers, and maybe not all of them, but the ones as they're getting more advanced, if you hear them say or like or whatever their crutch words are, you snap. Just to key them in to hearing it so that they can then start to control it. Does that make sense? So today I want to talk about assessments. Now this is something that I gleaned from Classical Conversations, which is the homeschool program that I adore. And I'm an unpaid, whatever, not sponsor, but advocate for them. Anyway, they do an assessment called a glow and a grow. I highly recommend this. You start out with a positive assessment, and then you add a critical assessment. With an and, don't use the word but, because what happens when you hear a positive, but this is better, or do this instead, all you really hear is what came after the but. So use and instead of but. So for a glow and a grow, typically what I would do is I would ask the speaker to assess themselves. And the first day or two of club, as I recall, I opened it up to the audience as well. So young people in our group would offer a glow and a grow. And I was always very concerned, focused on the way that they would couch their words to make sure that their words were helpful and not hurtful. That's very important, especially for budding young speakers. We don't want to discourage them. And then I would write down what their grows were. And so the young speaker would go up and you would say, okay, give yourself a glow and a grow, or self-assess. Now, even when you say glow and grow, the young speakers will often say, well, I should have done this, or I shouldn't have done that. That's a grow, that's not a glow. And I'd say, that doesn't sound very positive to me. That doesn't sound very like a glow, you know, and they go, oh, okay, well, I got up here and I spoke or whatever, right? So the glow tends to be harder to do than the self-critique. And then the self-critique is limited to one thing that they can work on, okay? So instead of saying, if your speaker says, I should have had more proofs, I shouldn't have forgotten my third proof, that's not a grow. It's a critique, but it's not a grow. What are the positive steps that they can take to avoid that in the future? And so you try to have them restate it once you determine that that's the grow that we're going to stick to. Now, sometimes their grows are kind of unnecessary. I should be taller. That, I mean, literally, they'll come up with something like that, and you're like, okay, anybody else? Does anybody else have a glow and a grow for them? And then maybe that person will come up with a grow that's actually actionable, or you will. So I would reserve my assessment till the end, and then I'd say, I agree with you. It was excellent that you had your 3 points. That was fantastic. And you made the audience laugh. And that's a key, okay? Making the audience laugh is an excellent way to keep your audience engaged. You know that they're paying attention when they laugh. And your grow is that you need more evidence for your third proof, or you need, how about this? Your grow is that you need a more concrete conclusion. So what can you do to come up with a more concrete conclusion rather than, and that's the end of my speech? What can you do? Well, you can restate your 3 proofs and maybe look at your prompt to remember and then conclude with, and that's why my favorite dessert is ice cream, or whatever your speech was about. So you give them a concrete step. Then I would write that down, and the next week I would say, now what are you working on this week? I encourage all my speakers to keep a notebook and take some notes on what happened so that they can go back and remember. And so if they don't have their notes, because they often forget their notebooks, I would say, okay, so this week we're working on that conclusion. You're gonna come up with a stronger conclusion. Or this week we're working on volume, because you really want to make sure that you're projecting your speech. Or this week we're working on smiling at the audience and engaging and eye contact with the audience. That's what we're working on. And that way, at their assessment, you can say, and look at that, you made great advances in eye contact. I saw you specifically looking at specific people, and that was excellent. And when you look at a specific person, you're not only engaging them, you're engaging the rest of the audience, because the audience knows you're engaging an audience member. That's important, right? And so you have something that you're actually advancing toward. And then when they look back through their notebooks, they'll see their progress as they go forward. So that's my notes on on assessment. You get them to assess themselves, perhaps involve the audience. Be careful. I've stopped involving the audience. We don't have enough time. Sometimes my kids will say, can I just add something that I think might be helpful? And if somebody's really invested in saying something about another speaker, typically I'll allow it, because oftentimes it's very helpful, because they're coming from a similar position as your speaker, right? Another student is coming from a similar point of view. They can be very encouraging that way. And this is a team effort as much as it is an individual effort. It is a team. We're a club, right? So we want to encourage that. And then I'll give my assessment, and we'll boil it down to what exactly have we said here, and how do we move forward? And we always want to be moving forward. That's what makes it exciting. So assessments, glow and grow. And that's that for this time. Thanks so much. We'll be right back with more speech and debate information coming up. You know what I'm going to talk about next is my debate, my exercise in debate, where I tried a new thing and I called it round robin. So I'll talk to you about that next time.